Okay, now let me answer a few questions which you guys sent me in after the first video in the comments. So the first one is about the acceptance rate. I think it doesn't differ between the CSUs a lot. Fresno and everything, I think Fullerton, they all come in kind of same category with good coursework, good acceptance rate, good fee. When it comes to on-campus jobs, that you need to contact alumni there if you're considering that university, or if you have already applied there and you have the acceptance from that university, you should do not hesitate and post these questions on the group of that university Facebook group. Ask them like how many of you have on-campus jobs, or how many of you were able to get an on-campus job. Was it easy, was it tough, how many opportunities are there for on-campus jobs. So these are the questions you need to ask if you're considering that university from the alumni studying there. I don't think anyone from the outside, like I didn't do from Fullerton or Long Beach, so I don't think I can tell about the on-campus job situation there. I can tell you about how the university is, what is their acceptance rate, if you like what points you should consider if you're planning to apply there. Should you have like a good job experience, should you have like GRE 320 or 325 plus score or not. These things other person can tell you, but when it comes to on-campus jobs, scholarship chances, and all of this faculties, I think this no one can tell you better than the alumni there. Second question is, how do you deal with doing both assignments and projects? I've heard people saying it takes nights to complete a single assignment. That totally depends on professor or faculty of the subject you have taken. For me, thankfully, there was not even more than 1 or 2 projects during the whole master duration in 1.5 years, which have taken me that long to complete. So they're kind of pretty easy, and as I said, like you can always do it in group and work together towards it. I think it should be easy to do. Of course, you'll have to invest some time, but if you pay attention in the class, the assignments and projects are going to be easy, because they will ask you to do always, like they're going to ask you questions in exams, they're going to whatever they're going to give you assignments and projects, it is going to be something they have already nicely taught in the class. So if you know that, I think you'll be good. Don't get scared about that. It's easy. You can pull it off. Okay, next question. 90% of your classmates in an MS in CS will be Indian. True. Regardless of which university you go to. How did you manage to have American and other international students as your friends, considering the workload, and 99% of times your roomies will be Indian as well? Yeah, so first of all, making friends other than Indians. So you might get good number of American students in your class if you're coming here for your bachelor's, but if you're coming for masters, you won't get a lot of Americans as your classmates. So first of all, when there'll be orientation, so after you come here, there are a lot of events in first 2 weeks, different kind of events organized by different group of people, international office, by university, by some association in the university. Try to attend all of them. You'll get to interact with amazing crowd, you'll get to interact with a lot of people. So that is one way to make friends. Second, I would like to say, try to get an on-campus job. If you get an on-campus job, wherever you work, you will interact with a lot of people. So that is one way to make friends. You'll have a co-worker, you can enjoy with them, you can go out with them. So yeah, mainly it will be all the events organized on campus. Try to attend all of them. Enjoy, don't be lazy. Go out, make friends, have fun there. And on-campus job. In classes, if you have someone else apart from Indians, try to interact with them. And then when it comes to roomies, I think I prefer an Indian roomie, because somewhere you have come like, you know, Sat Samundar Par, and you don't have anyone here. So it is good to have some familiar face with you, and at the same time you are more kind of in power, where you can decide how you want your roommate to be, or how you want to plan that when you guys cook, or how do you keep your house clean and everything. With Americans, I think there's gonna be a little bit factor of that, you getting awkward to like directly come out and talk to them or say something to them. You'll always fear that it might offend them. So I personally prefer an Indian roommate, but that also doesn't go well all the time. But you can try your best, otherwise you can keep switch and move on. So that totally depends on you. Okay, next question is, universities in their estimated 1-year fee for graduate studies talk about charging $1,000 to $1,200 for books. Do we have to pay that much? I mean, there's the college library, which probably already has a ton of related books, so can we skip paying those extra dollars? Okay, you can totally skip that. I have never purchased a book till now, and buying books is totally your choice. Now, to me, there was not even one professor who has emphasized or asked us to buy books. Usually, whatever books they suggest, you can easily find a PDF version of it. If not, you can find it in the library, you can take it from there, and I think you won't even need to. Here, professors usually teach using their presentation created by them, so they always upload it on the student portal. Of course, you can view this from your student account, and what I used to do for all the exams and MSTs and assignments, everything, is just go through their PPTs and their PDFs, because that is more easy. So save yourself time, don't get into all the books, things and everything. Just study from those presentations and listen in the class, because if you listen in the class, you will understand the presentation, like what they have written and how, because of course it's not a book, there's not going to be a lot of details. But if you listen in the class, you'll be good to go. For exams, whenever I've prepared, I've just done all the questions in the presentations, and there's not even one time where the question came in the exam was not in their presentation. So don't buy books, don't invest even $1, I would say. If you really want a book, try to find it in the campus or a link to it and just download it. And the best way to prepare is using the presentation. That's it. Okay, so these are all the questions which were asked by Siddharth. Now I'm gonna move to the username is KATZ cats. I don't think it's a question, it's more of a request. Can you make a video about your course, your university, and also the projects interns you did before applying for MS in CS? I'm my pre-final year triple E and wish to pursue MS in CS with big data specialization. You know any of your friends from a non-CS background pursuing MS in CS? Which colleges show any bias based on bachelor degree being CS or non-CS for admission in MS and CS? Okay, there's also a question and there's also a request video. I'll just answer them in this video. So I took MS in CS right after doing bachelor's in computer science. What else? Course duration. Okay, so I had to complete, you have to complete 30 credits, right, to complete your master's. So I completed all the coursework in 1.5 years. I was able to do that, and for the last semester I had to do either project, or my university also offered an examination. So there were three things: either you can make a project, either you can write a thesis, or you can give an exam like we used to in India. So I chose giving an exam because I wanted to invest the time of that semester to prepare for for getting a job. And during my time it was COVID already, so I graduated in spring 2020 and COVID started in January 2020. So went for the examination and not the project and thesis, because I wouldn't have had that many resources. Library was closed, department was closed, professors would have helped through Zoom or all of that. So for me it was easier to give an exam and invest that time in preparing for a job. Another part of the question is, do you know any of your friends from non-CS background pursuing MS in CS? I do know a few people, like it was EC or IT or EE and they came into computer science. How that will affect is that you will just have to take some subjects which will be prerequisites. So those subjects are mandatory to continue your masters, and it will be like I think 3 to 4 subjects, again completely depending on the university. Those are undergraduate subjects, so you need to complete those first as a prerequisites, and then you can take it in a master's course. So suppose the course code is 298, right, in masters. So for undergraduate the prerequisite number would be 198. So to take to 298 you need to complete 198 as a prerequisite. So you will get few courses like 3 to 4, again depending on university. You might have some prerequisites which you'll have to complete after coming here first before taking your graduate subjects. That will be one difference. How that might affect is maybe you might have to increase 1 semester extra, again depending on how many prereq you have. If you have just 1 or 2, you can compensate it during the normal time a person takes to complete their masters in CS. If there are 3 to 4, maybe you'll have to, again it depends on your capacity, how much you're ready to put in and how much time you have and how much you're prepared to come into CS. If you have a basic knowledge, you can of course like do it with the same course duration. Otherwise you might have to increase 1 semester extra, but it's doable. Again, it's not that tough, you'll be able to do it, I think. Which colleges show any bias based on bachelor degree being CS or non-CS? No, I don't think there's any bias in that. It just again when you apply, your LORs, your SOPs, that also matters. So make sure in your statement of purpose, which is SOP, you mention that how you have always been interested in computer science and why you want to switch from EE or EC to CS. So you should have a good reason mentioned. If you do, they'll understand it. They'll know that okay, you are really into computer science and that is why you want to switch your field. And also try to show some project work which you have done, that I've always been interested in computer science. Even during this project in EE, I wrote this program to make this robot work, like whatever, I don't know. But try to show them that you are genuinely interested in computer science, you have always been, and you have a basic knowledge, you have written few codes, you know how to be a software developer or software engineer, and you're ready to do your masters. Other than getting few prerequisite subjects, I don't think there's going to be a lot of change. If you have a good GRE and TOEFL score and you have a good GPA from your undergraduate, it shouldn't differ much. You should be good to go. Okay, so this brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it really helped you guys. If it did, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, share it with your friends and everyone who's planning to come here, and if not, maybe just for fun if someone wants to watch. Apart from that, you can find in description below the link to my brother's channel, which is Ashology. He has a lot of videos on how to prepare for GRE, TOEFL, for your visa, about getting jobs in MS after US. He has made them I think 2-3 years ago and has a lot of views, so that video might also help you. Go give it a watch. And also recently, last week, he posted a video of both of us where he's interviewing me, so there also he has asked a few very good questions which might help you guys. So there's a link to his channel and that video in the description box below. Don't forget to check it out, that will surely help you, and I'll see you in my next video.